ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome to our Saturday morning session. Today we are starting chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, which is exactly in the middle in terms of its location, but it is also one of the most important chapters of Bhagavad Gita, explaining in deep the most secrets of this universe and the human life, the deepest secrets of human life, as well as the functioning of this universe. So let us start with verse number 1. श्री भगवान बोले, तुझ दोष दृष्टि रहित भक्त के लिए इस परम गोपनीय विज्ञान सहित ज्ञान को पुनः भली भांति कहूंगा, जिसको जानकर तू दुख स्वरूप संसार से मुक्त हो जाएगा. When we recall chapter 7, in the beginning Lord Krishna said that I am going to tell you most secret knowledge about this world, after knowing which nothing else remains to be known. And then he said that my own nature is divided into 8 parts, that is Prithvi, Jal, Agni, Vayu, Akash, Man, Buddhi or Ahankar, from gross to subtle. And then he mentioned that the whole world is woven into me like the threads made of the thread are woven on the thread. थ्रेड के जो माला पे जो मोती हैं वो उसी से बने हुए हैं, थ्रेड से, और वो उस माला में गुथे हुए हैं. उसी तरह से पूरा संसार मेरे अंदर गुथा हुआ है. And then he continued to describe, very special features, how the world is run. Now, in fact, in this chapter 9, he will go into even the deeper aspects of this universe. In fact, I can tell based on my experience and reading that this chapter is the most profound knowledge of the universe anywhere available in one particular chapter. We will have to go into each detail so that we can understand the profoundness of this chapter properly. So, सबसे पहले, the first of all, Lord Krishna is using दोष दृष्टि रहित. You can objectively analyze things. You can see the truth of the things only when you are dosh drashti rahit, that you do not have what we call a bias in your personality, a bias in your thinking. If you have a bias in your thinking, then you cannot understand things objectively. So dosh drashti rahit is the word we have to understand properly. This actually reminds me one small anecdote told by Prime Minister Modi in the parliament. When we travel in a train, when you are sitting in the train compartment, you hear the sound of the tracks, and there were four people sitting in the compartment. One of them was a pandit, Hindu pandit, and he said, "Look at the sound of the track. It says Ram, 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 Ram." Then there was another Shiv Bhakt sitting there. He said, "No, this sounds like Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om." Then there was a mullah sitting in the same compartment, and he said, "No, this sounds like Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar." Then there was a wrestler sitting in the same department, and he says, "This sounds like dham, dham, dham." So the same sound has been interpreted differently by different people because they have a dos drasti. They have an inbuilt bias in their personality. We also call it drasti kon, that we have an angle of our, looking at things. If the angle is not perfect, then you tend to judge things according to your own values. The values you have inculcated, the values which you cherish, those values are actually reflected in what you see outside in the world. So this is how the interpretation takes place when you have दोष दृष्टि. सो दृष्टि में दोष होगा तो आप ऑब्जेक्टिवली चीजों को नहीं समझ सकते. चीजों को ऑब्जेक्टिवली समझने के लिए आपको दृष्टि के दोष से मुक्त होना पड़ेगा. ये एक आवश्यक शर्त है. So this is the first thing Lord Krishna says. He must have realized that Arjun now has become more objective in his approach. He has, left aside his thoughts, which he was telling that I do not want to fight against Bhisma Pitamaya, against Dronacharya. I do not want to rule this earth. I do not want the pleasures of this earth. Rather than, enjoying the pleasures, I better abstain from the killing of these, respected people. So he must have realized that now, by this time, after 8 chapters, Arjun must have changed his thinking, and that is why he has become dos drasti rahit. So this is extremely important to understand what is dos drasti rahit. Looking at the things objectively as they are, rather than looking at things and interpreting them as per your own convenience, as per your own thinking, which most of us do. So this is very important, the first part. The second thing is ज्ञान और विज्ञान के सहित. Now ज्ञान और विज्ञान, these are two very profound words. Vigyan basically refers to the study of the physical universe. For example, you analyze a metal in a laboratory and find out its characteristics, its qualities, its composition. So that is analysis of matter in different parts. You analyze water in the laboratory and find out that it is made of oxygen and hydrogen. Similarly, you take sample of earth and you find the chemical properties of that particular sample of earth. So that is Vigyan. Vigyan is basically analysis of things which are available to us in physical form. Whatever is available physically can be analyzed in laboratories, and that is basically understood Vigyan. So, in simpler way, we can say Vigyan is to understand the nature surrounding us. The five great elements which surround us, Panch Mahabhut, understanding those manifest part of the nature is basically Vigyan. And Gyan is the one which enables us to understand the life, the different forms of life, how the life is injected into the universe, how the life regulates itself, how the life actually creates an order in the running of this universe. Now, this was also mentioned briefly in chapter 7 when Lord Krishna said that ये जो 8 elements which is aparashakti of the Almighty is physical, and the life force which is parashakti, it provides chaitanya, it provides consciousness to all the living beings. So that element was also injected briefly by Lord Krishna in chapter 7. But here he will go in greater detail in this chapter. So those drashti rahit, ज्ञान एंड विज्ञान, देन जिसको जानकर तू दुख रूप संसार से मुक्त हो जाएगा. Now he is again repeating here that this world is dukhalaya. We saw that in chapter 8 where he said this world is dukhalaya. Here he is again saying that this world is a place of misery, of distress, and therefore we need to get out of it. So the whole concept of moksha, that we liberate ourselves from this world, which is a dukhalaya, is extremely important, and he is reiterating that in the very first verse of this chapter. So this is the verse number 1 of chapter 9. Now verse number 2. यह विज्ञान सहित ज्ञान सब राजाओं का राजा, सब गोपनियों का राजा, अति पवित्र, अति उत्तम, प्रत्यक्ष फल वाला, धर्मयुक्त, साधन करने में बड़ा सुगम और अविनाशी है. Now I have not seen any verse with so many of adjectives in one place. He says Raj Vidya, Raj Guhyam, Pavitram. Every word that this is the what you call queen of the knowledge or king of the knowledge. विद्याओं की विद्या है, राज विद्या, Raj Guhyam. This is the deepest mystery of life. Guhyam means guthi, or you can call it secret. You can call it something which is mysterious. So Raj Guhyam, this is the deepest of the deepest mysteries of existence. Then say Pavitram, which will make you absolutely, what you call absolutely pavitra, absolutely, free from all kinds of things which vitiate life. So it will inject complete objectivity in you. Then he says, this is Ati Uttam. This is Uttam means, better than the rest, but Ati Uttam means the best you can think of. So this is another adjective which he has used here. Then he says, Pratyaksa Vagamam, that you can see it in front of you. It can happen in your own presence. You can be a witness to this. And then Dharmamya, that is, it is absolutely sacred. It is desirable to do. And sadhan karne mein susukham, it will give you uh, the pleasure, it will give you the happiness. Susukham. And sagam karne mein sukham, and it is easy to follow. So he is using so many adjectives to describe what he is going to say. So obviously, certain things, this this these words coming from the mouth of the Lord Krishna himself, and describing that knowledge in such a profound way means what he is going to tell is something beyond our conception, and that what we will see slowly. So he says this is what is the best ultimate of all secrets, of all truths, of all knowledge, everything which he's going to say, this is the ultimate of everything. So this is what he said in this verse. Then the next verse, हे परम तप, इस उपर्युक्त धर्म में श्रद्धा रहित पुरुष मुझको न प्राप्त होकर मृत्यु रूप संसार चक्र में भ्रमण करते रहते हैं. Now, Shraddha Rahit Purush, it's extremely important. We discussed this word briefly earlier, but it is time that we understand it properly. Shraddha, what is Shraddha? Let's let's have a deeper look on this word, Shraddha. You see, if you look at this existence in which we live, in this existence, there are certain mysterious powers which exist. One of the power is the power of attraction, the power which attracts. For example, you have a stone in front of you. Now the stone has millions of, what you call particles, but they are stuck together into one single stone. This is what we call chumbkiya power, or we can call it magnetic power. The magnetic power brings all those particles, millions of particles, into one particular place and keeps it united. Otherwise, everything will, fritter away into pieces. When we talk about the gravitational force, that is also a sort of force. When an apple falls from the tree, why does it come? Because there is a force which attracts it. That's also a force of attraction. It's the same force which brings the stone united, which brings all these particles into a stone and makes it united. The same way the matter is attracted towards the earth, the matter is attracted towards the matter. So this is the first force in the physical sense, which is attracting, which is keeping things united. An order is provided because of this attraction. Whatever name you give doesn't matter. You can call it, magnetic force, you can call it gravitational force, you can call it by any other name. But there is a force in the nature which keeps things united, which keeps them together and provides an order in the universe. That is at the level of matter. Then, if we go little upwards, then we go at the level of body, human body, or body of all living beings. The living beings are attracted to each other. Man and woman are attracted. The birds are attracted. All the living beings are attracted firstly to their own species, and then between male and female. Now that attraction, we can call it, sexual desire, you can call it reproductive desire, whatever may be. But there is an attraction which keeps this world running. Because of that attraction, you reproduce and the world is running. So, this is the second level where the bodies are attracted to each other. The, there is a what you call attraction of the bodies. You can call it by any name, but this is the second layer. The third layer of attraction is the attraction of mind. When the two minds are attracting each other, for example, you like me and I like you, so the mind of the two people are attracting each other, then this is actually called love. Love is this, where the two minds are united. The two thinking process are similar and they work together in tandem. So that is the love. The first one is you can call it gravitational force or magnetic force. The second one you can call it reproductive force, or you can call it attraction of bodies, or you can call it sexual desire. The third one is the attraction of mind, which is prem. Prem जिसको कहते हैं हिंदी में. That is the when the minds are united, they are attracting each other. Like you are attracted towards your guru, you are attracted towards your parents. Now then that is called prem. वो love है. That is love. And the fourth, the highest stage of that is when the two souls are attracted to each other. Then the souls automatically get united, and that is called Shraddha. When you surrender yourself completely to, for example, to your Guru or to your East Devata, for example, you have faith in Lord Krishna, you surrender completely to Lord Krishna, then it is called Shraddha. Shraddha is unity of the soul. When you do not question things, you rise above what we call rationality, you rise above arguments, you rise above body and mind, you rise above physical attractions. That is called Shraddha. So, Shraddha is one where you accept things as they are, as are told to you. When your guru tells you certain things, you accept them as it is. When your friend tells you something, if you have Shraddha, you will accept them as it is. If you have Shraddha, then you go to a temple and you just sit and spend your time there. You do not ask for anything, you just surrender yourself there, that I am in your service. So that is Shraddha. So Shraddha is extremely important uh, at a time when you want to tell certain things which are not logical in the worldly sense. They appear completely illogical. I call them basically insensible and unintelligible. When you are telling things which are insensible, which are unintelligible, then you demand Shraddha before that. Otherwise, the other person will not understand anything. In fact, he will say what he is talking about. So, Shraddha is the prerequisite for accepting certain things which look illogical and unintelligible in this universe, in this world. That is extremely important, and that is why Lord Krishna must have realized that by now Arjun has developed Shraddha, and therefore he can reveal to him the most profound secrets of existence. And that is where he will now proceed. So after saying that, if you are Shraddha Rahit, if you are not having that Shraddha, that unity of the soul, the total trust, total surrender, then you will not understand those mysteries and you will continue to, roll in this world, Mrityu Roop, Mrityu Sansar, Vart, uh, Vartmani, Mrityu Sansar Vartmani. You will continue to roll into this world in this मृत्यु रूप संसार में आप घूमते रहेंगे इसमें चक्कर लगाते रहेंगे So that is extremely important to understand, that Shraddha is a prerequisite to understand things which are unintelligible, which are insensible, which cannot be grasped through our sense organs. हमारी जो पांच इंद्रियां हैं, सेंस, जिनको हम सेंस ऑफ परसेप्शन कहते हैं, जो हमारी आंखें हैं, हमारे कान हैं, हमारी नासिका है, हमारे टच की जो सेंस है, स्पर्श की जो शक्ति है, हमारे जो टेस्ट करने की, जो इसको चखने की जो शक्ति है, इन पांचों शक्तियों से जो चीजें परे हैं, go beyond these five, which is insensible, which we cannot grasp through these sense organs, and things which are beyond our intellect, unintelligible. उनको समझने के लिए you must have total surrender to somebody, then only you can understand that. And that is what Lord Krishna is saying here. He must have realized that now after 8 chapters, Arjun has developed that Shraddha. Arjun has developed the unity of soul. He has developed total trust in Lord Krishna. He has surrendered himself. Then he is revealing these most secret part of our existence. So now verse number 4 and 5, they are beyond logic, okay? They will contradict each other and we have to understand them fully. So first, verse number 4, मुझ निराकार परमात्मा से यह सब जगत परिपूर्ण है. मुझ निराकार से, ये आकार, जगत तो आकार है, जगत तो मैनिफेस्ट है. So this whole universe which is manifest, it is completely pervaded by me, which is non-manifest, which is अव्यक्त, निराकार है, जिसका कोई आकार नहीं है. उससे यह व्यक्त जगत, जो आकार का जगत है, वो पूरी तरह से परिपूर्ण है. पहली चीज तो ये कही. और सब भूत मेरे अंतर्गत आधारित हैं, मेरे अंतर्गत स्थित हैं. मत मत स्थानी सर्वभूतानि, सारे भूत मेरे अंदर स्थित हैं, किंतु वास्तव में मैं उनमें स्थित नहीं हूं. नाउ दीज आर 3 sentences हियर. मुझ निराकार परमात्मा से ये सब जगत व्याप्त है, सब भूत मेरे अंतर्गत स्थित हैं, लेकिन मैं सब भूतों में स्थित नहीं हूं, उनमें स्थित नहीं हूं. नाउ हाउ डू अंडरस्टैंड? They look very illogical, they look contradictory, they look unintelligible. Now we have to understand, and in fact let me go to the verse number 5 also, because that is closely connected to this. There is a further contradiction in that verse compared to verse number 4. Then we'll go together on these two verses. ये सब भूत मुझ में स्थित नहीं है. He just said that सब भूत मेरे में स्थित है. नाउ इज सेइंग ये सब भूत मेरे में स्थित नहीं है, किंतु मेरी ईश्वरीय योग शक्ति को देख कि सब भूतों का धारण पोषण करने वाला और भूतों को उत्पन्न करने वाला मेरा आत्मा वास्तव में भूतों में स्थित नहीं है. नाउ दीज टू वर्सेज आर द मोस्ट प्रोफाउंड knowledge of this existence, but they also look very contradictory, they look insensible, they look unintelligible. So let's go one by one. First, to understand this verse, the first part of the verse, कि सब निराकार, मेरा निराकार स्वरूप इस पूरे जगत में व्याप्त है. We have to understand that first. You see, if you realize you must understand the power of insensible. The power of the things which we cannot understand with our sense organs and which we cannot understand with our mental prowess, उस पावर को हमें समझना चाहिए पहले, to understand this first part of the verse. I just gave you the example of attraction, gravity, force of gravity. Now it's a very profound force, but do you see gravity anywhere? For millions of years, it is happening, but we do not see that force happening anywhere. Do you see gravity? Do you touch gravity? Can you smell gravity? Our sense organs cannot reach there. But this is a very profound force. This is the power of insensible. Now, let me give you another example. When we talk about human body, we also talk about human mind. Now, we also say mind is the sixth organ or sixth sense or the 11th sense, whatever. But when you do surgery of the human brain, you will find flesh, you will find neurons, you will find blood, you will find, other physical parts, but you do not see the mind. Where is the mind? Mind is insensible. Mind is sensible only through the mind. The power of the mind, though it's enormous, it controls us completely, but this power is not sensible. We cannot see this power, we cannot touch this power, we cannot, smell this power. Our source sense organs fail to understand that power. Even the scientists have failed to understand where is the mind. They don't know where the mind is. They can find the brain, but they cannot find the mind. So it's the power of the insensible. Even if you look at, the physical existence of human being. For example, food is very important for us to live. Now, food is gross, we can see, we can smell, we can taste. But water is more important than food. Without food, people can live for 2 months. But without water, they cannot live more than 5 days, 10 days. The water is, less gross than food. कम स्थूल हो गया पानी. और पानी से ज्यादा important क्या है? Air. Air which has become even, thinner now. It has become less gross, further less gross. Without air, how many minutes can you live? It is far more important than food and water. The air is extremely important for our survival. We can't live without air even, for 5 to 10 minutes. So that is, as the things becomes what you call smaller and smaller, they are becoming more and more powerful. Then after air, for example, space. Now space you cannot sense what is, you cannot define what is space. And that space actually provides you existence. Without that space, you cannot be here at all. That provides you the theater to exist. So air, you can still feel the touch of the air comes and touches you, you can feel it. But space, you don't feel. You are passing through the space all the time, but you don't, feel it. It cannot be sensed. The scientists cannot define space because they only say whatever exists between moon and sun is space. Whatever exists between earth and moon is space. But they cannot define it because there is no definition. So it has become absolutely subtle. The more subtle has become more powerful. Without space, our existence itself is impossible. So there is no question of our, living without space. So these are the examples which explain that as the things become smaller and smaller, they become more and more powerful. Let me give you another example of our daily routine. For example, we do a lot of physical things. We earn our livelihood, we get an employment, we work for an organization. Now, how do we do that? Where does it come from? It comes from the thought. The thought comes in your mind that, okay, I have to do this study, I have to acquire that job, I have to work in that organization. That is the way I will earn my livelihood. The whole process starts with the thought. And where does the thought exist? The thought exists in the mind, which we don't know where it is. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also says that everything begins with the thought. Thought turns into desire, then desire turns into will. Will becomes your action, and action becomes your life. But whole everything starts with thought, which is not visible, which is not sensible. What you are thinking right now, I cannot fathom that. It's not possible for me to fathom. So these are the examples of the world in which we live. When we go of beyond the world, the power which created this world, that power must be even smaller than this. So we must understand the power of the insensible, and that is what Lord Krishna is saying. मुझ निराकार परमात्मा से ये सब जगत परिपूर्ण है, व्याप्त है पूरी तरह से. This is also said in other Upanishads, like Isavasyamidam. The first slok of the Isa Upanishad says, Isavasyamidam sarvam. ईसा का निवास सब जगह है. But there he is not saying that nirakar, but here Lord Krishna is amplifying it, that this Paramatma is avyakt. It is without any form, without any shape, without any distinguishing feature of its own. And that is the base of this entire universe. Now, this we cannot understand with our mental faculties, with our sense organs, and that is why Shraddha is important here. Now, this is the first part he has said. This he has said earlier also, but not in so specific language. That pura, this whole of this universe, like, to understand this, let me give you an example of this. We have these millions of houses on this earth. Go down, house, toilet, offices, showrooms, God knows what. We have a variety of constructions. Now they are all without space. None of this is possible. The space, the Akash, provides the venue for all of that. The house is possible because of Akash. The toilet is possible because of Akash. The go down or the showroom or the shopping mall, all this is possible because of Akash. It's the fight for the space, fight for the Akash. Now that Akash is all the time pervading whatever we are looking at, whether we are looking at house or go down or a toilet or a shopping mall or an office complex, the Akash is the foundation of all of that. They are located on Akash. This is the Akash is to some extent sensible by us because of the mind, perception of the mind. But where is Akash located? That question comes. How did Akash came into being? How the Akash is located? Now that is what Krishna is talking about here. You remember in verse number 20 of chapter 8, he had said that Sare, all this universe, all this, living beings and all that exist, all bhoot, all manifested world, comes from the body of Brahma, from the avyakt sarir of Brahma, and then they dissolve back into avyakt sarir of Brahma at the end of the kalp, end of the era. And then in the beginning of the kalp, he again gives them birth. But I am beyond that. He says, मैं अव्यक्त से भी परे अव्यक्त हूँ. He is even beyond Brahma, the avyakt, non-manifest Brahma, which gives birth to this universe, and where the universe gets dissolved, he is even beyond that. And that is what he is talking about here, that avyakt se bhi pare avyakt. जो है उस that is the foundation of the entire universe on which all this manifest world appears. So this is one thing we have to understand. As I mentioned, sometimes it's not easy to understand with mental faculties and sense organs, but we have to understand with Shraddha. The second part, और सब भूत मेरे अंतर्गत आधारित हैं, स्थित है, मेरे अंतर्गत स्थित है। मत स्थाने सर्वभूतानि। Now it is clear that like in Akash, we are all existing. Akash is the theater. We are all existing in this Akash. Now Akash is existing in that Avyakt part of the Almighty. So whole universe is existing in him. Like we take a circle, there's a big circle and there's a small circle. That say 20 small circles inside the big circle. The big circle is, for example, Paramatma. And the smaller circles are different existence of this universe. Yeah? Say, for example, Earth is one circle, Moon is another circle, third star is another circle. So all those circles are existing in the larger circle. So परमात्मा के अंतर्गत स्थापित हैं, वो स्थित है. That becomes clear that we are like located in space. The space is located in something larger than that, and that larger thing in which not only this universe, many universes are located. All that is encompassing everything. So this is the meaning of the second one. सब भूत मेरे अंतर्गत संकल्प, मेरे अंतर्गत स्थित है. We understand this now, that all that exists, if we take Akash as Paramatma, obviously all that manifest universe is existing in this Akash, and therefore it is very clear that we are existing in Akash. So this is the second part of this verse. किंतु वास्तव में मैं उनमें स्थित नहीं हूं. Now to understand this is not easy. वो, like we can say this house exists in Akash, but इस घर में भी तो आकाश है, घर में भी आकाश है. I exist in आकाश, but मेरे अंदर भी तो आकाश है. But he is saying that I am not there. मैं वास्तव में उनमें स्थित नहीं हूं. Now to understand that, we take an example of the same circle. The bigger circle can encompass the smaller one, but the smaller circles cannot take the bigger circle inside. The smaller circle take only a very small part of the bigger circle, but it cannot encompass the entire the bigger circle. Like you can say that the rivers get dissolved into the ocean, but ocean cannot get dissolved into the rivers. So this is what he says, that the whole universe, which is embedded in me, which is located in me, which is स्थित in me, मैं उनमें वास्तव में नहीं हूं. Now this is unintelligible. एक हिस्सा तो है उनका, पूरे तो नहीं है, एक हिस्सा तो है. But even he says even that is not there. He will explain that later on, why it is not so. So this is the verse number 4. It will not be easy to explain these verses, without going into certain examples. So we will continue in our next session also on these verses. But let me give you the preliminary analysis today. Then the next verse says, ये सब भूत मुझ में स्थित नहीं है. Then he says, पहले तो कह रहे हैं कि सब भूत मेरे में स्थित हैं, अब कह रहे हैं वो मेरे में स्थित नहीं है. Now let us take an example now. Take an example of a clay and a pot. When we say a pot is visible, you can see the pot. Pot is sensible. It's the word. For example, post the 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 20 pots lying on your table. That pot is a universe, for example, manifest universe. Take that as it is. Now, that manifest universe contains what? It contains clay. The clay is the part of the pot. That is the unmanifest, which is not visible easily because we are looking at the pot. The clay is inside. If you take out the clay, there is no pot. Without clay, the pot will not exist anymore. So that is what he says, that the universe is existence because of non-manifest part of me. And if you take out that manifest part, that non-manifest part, the manifest part will not exist. So if you take the clay out, the pot will not exist. That's the first verse. The second is सब भूत मेरे अंतर्गत स्थित है. Now the clay can say that the pot exists in me. The clay can say that because there is no pot without the clay. So the clay will say that the pot is in clay. And actually in English we also say that way. The sentence is structured that way. The pot is in clay. So the clay is holding the pot. The clay is the one which is encompassing the pot. Without clay, there is no pot. So that's the second part. लेकिन मैं उनमें स्थित नहीं हूं. Now you can say that the clay is not in the pot. Clay is not. It is giving shape to the pot, but it is not pot. The pot is not clay. The pot is a manifestation of clay. The pot is an appearance of clay in name and form. So this is what he is coming here. कि सब भूत मेरे में स्थित नहीं है means that this universe which you see around, that appears in name and form. Though it is pervaded by me, though it is located in me, it is not me because it is the appearance only. In effect, it is only clay, it is not pot. Because without clay, there is no pot. But actual appearance is that of a pot, is not of a clay. So this is what he wants to say. He actually gone further down here, saying that मेरी योग शक्ति जो है, योग माया जिसको अपन कहते हैं, that gives rise to this manifest world. Whatever this manifestation we see is because of the non-manifest existence of the Almighty, which gives rise to this manifest world. It doesn't give rise, actually, it gives an appearance, that it appears in the name and the form. Now, pot appears as name and form, but it is not a pot, it is clay in effect. It's nothing but clay. Take another example of ocean and waves. Now, the waves you see all the time on the ocean. You don't see the ocean. You only see the waves when you visit an ocean site. You live in Mumbai, some of you. You see the waves only. You don't see the ocean. But waves contain water, which is part of the ocean. Ocean is all the time in the waves. But wave is not ocean. You cannot say wave is ocean. The ocean is not contained in the wave. The ocean, you can say some water of the ocean is contained in the wave, but ocean is not contained in the wave. So that is what he is saying here, कि मैं भूतों में स्थित नहीं हूं. Ocean is not contained in the wave. Ocean is not in the waves. But the waves appear because of the ocean. If there is no ocean, there cannot be any wave. So if there is no Paramatma, if there is no non-manifest power of Almighty, then this whole manifest universe cannot exist. Like waves cannot exist without ocean. Like a pot cannot exist without clay. So this is what he's trying to explain in these two verses here. And there would be more, what you call deeper verses coming down further. So these two verses are the profound secret of our existence. This secret of our existence will be discovered sooner or later by the modern science also. They are arriving at that point, but as of today, we read a lot about modern science, but we do not try to understand these verses contained in our scriptures, in our own Bhagavad Gita, which was written 5,000 years back in time. Now, this is the mystery of our existence, that nothing exists without Paramatma, but Paramatma does not exist into this world. It is only the appearance which gives in the name of the forms. Now, Paramatma is not, part of this world. Though this world is part of Paramatma, it is located in Paramatma. But still, Paramatma is completely separate from this world. This world gives you the appearance of names and forms, but it is all nothing but Paramatma. Like a pot is nothing but clay, wave is nothing but ocean. Similarly, this universe is nothing but Paramatma, but it does not appear to us that way. So this is the difference between the existence in which we live, this world, I mean, and the non-manifest part of the Almighty, which is behind this whole existence, which regulates this, which is, what you call integral part of this, but is still separate from this. So this is what Lord Krishna is explaining here, the very profound knowledge of our existence, and we will have to meditate on it to understand it properly, and then we will have some clarity in our mind. But don't think that mind can reach that profoundness, and that is why Lord Krishna asked in the beginning, said in the beginning that Shraddha Rahit Purush isko nahi samajh sakta. He will continue to roll in this world because he will not understand this reality of existence. So thank you very much.